All right, so we have two things on the agenda today. The most important one continues to be work on the Jenkins plugin. Any updates on the Jenkins plugin?
I did find out that Jenkins does block uh, the access to an external site. So I'm looking to see what that, and that's why Sasha ran into the problem from the Jenkins plugin side. Was Jenkins goes through and like sanitizes the HTML code and pulls out any references to external sites. So I'm
Okay.
looking to see what kind of looks like there's a setting that can be used to get around that. But I got to look at what needs to happen on that front.
How about if I send a note to Mark Waite and ask him?
That wouldn't be a bad idea
Okay.
to ask Mark Waite how we can have Jenkins access dynamic data from Ortelius in a job log.
Okay.
That's
No
the
problem. I can
easiest
do
way I
that.
could describe it.
And I have to ask him how to.
Access dynamic Ortelius data
Uh-huh.
in a job log.
Okay.
Basically, you can say basically you want to display an Ortelius web page from inside of the Jenkins
Okay.
log.
I will ask that question.
Because there appears to be some filtering going on. I'm like it, like some of the solutions. One of the solutions is to use this other plugin in this filter thing, but that solution was posted in 2011, so
Okay.
I don't know if it's still valid. You know, Jenkins has been around forever, so some of these things it could be valid. I got to look at it to see what's going on.
Okay. Well, I'll just shoot a email to Mark. He'll be able to give us an answer pretty quickly.
If not, it'll look like we'll have to write our a plugin to do what we want to bring in the data, and it would only be it wouldn't be live data, which is what we want. It would be static data at the point in time that it would get run, which isn't exactly what we want to do.
Okay.
So the problem is if you go back into a previous build, you won't be you'll see the build data. So you see vulnerabilities at that point in time that the build was run,
Yeah. Yeah.
not
It'll be
the
static data.
yeah. So there's going to be a way around it. We just gotta hunt it down.
Can we talk about it with the Jenkins team
That's what
and
Tracy's
That's
see
who
doing.
what
Mark. Yeah, that's who Mark Waite is. He runs the Jenkins community.
and what solution he's suggesting?
What was what?
Like, just he's suggesting any other solutions?
I don't know.
He is the primary Jenkins maintainer, so he'll know. He knows Jenkins inside and out, so we should be
Yeah,
able to.
yeah, he runs the community. Yeah, he is the Jenkins man. So
Okay.
he should be
And
the
we
right
know
guy.
him, so we should be able to get an answer pretty quick.
Yeah.
Got
All
it.
right. I had a very interesting call with let me see, get his name for you. I was hoping he might be here today.
Is it Eddie?
No. No, but I'm glad Eddie's here.
Hi, Eddie.
With Abhishek. Let me pull up his information and I'll share it with you.
So while you're doing that, Sasha, and I think you missed it, but it looks like Jenkins has some security thing blocking dynamic web page stuff or access to web pages.
Exactly
I'm
what I
trying to hunt.
experienced.
Yeah, there was some setting somewhere. I'm trying to figure out where. Some of the references talk about how to fix it, but they were posted back in 2011, so they're a
Yeah,
little old, and I don't know
yeah,
if
but
they would apply to today's world.
yeah, and I tried messing around with my YAML file and um trying to add like some overrides, right, with like Java ops,
Yeah,
but yeah, it didn't like it. I couldn't get my container to start, so yeah, we're gonna have to dig into that thing a bit more.
yeah. Tracy's going to sent an email over to Mark Waite, who's the primary Jenkins maintainer. So
It's always useful if you have connections like that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it'll help. We'll get it solved.
Yeah.
Okay, so a person by the name of Abhishek Datta out of Bangalore reached out to me yesterday. I'm gonna, he, they have a small open source project. They do have some adoption, probably they have more adoption than we do, so I probably should give it more credit than saying it's small. But they do have I'm trying to find the GitHub repo for everybody so I can post it in the called Secdep. I found it for you pretty fast yesterday, Steve. I don't know why I can't find it today.
I'm looking for it as well.
Because it didn't like inline. You know what I didn't like, Steve? It didn't like your inline CSS,
Yeah,
and then I moved it out, and then you know, you have to get around that, I guess, right?
I think you're still going to have a problem with the uh, access to an external website because the
Mm,
Jenkins is like sanitizing the
mm,
HTML code and blocking stuff.
mm. Be cool if there was like a whitelist, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to figure out how to set the whitelist.
Yeah. I can send you some docs that I was digging around before.
Oh, it's safedep/vet.
Yeah.
Safe, oh, that's right. SafeDep, not SecDep, SafeDep.
Yeah, let me.
Do you have the, can you put that in the chat so everybody can see the repo?
Yeah. Let me get back to.
And here is his
Uh,
LinkedIn.
Content security policy. That's what it was.
Yep, exactly. So we need to do some more research on that front.
Yeah, yeah. I'll put the link in here because I'll put it in the. There you go.
Perfect.
And and then it shows you the default rule set. Basically, no JavaScript allowed at all, no plugins, no inline CSS, all CSS from other sites allowed, no images from other sites, no frames allowed, no web fronts allowed, no Edge or Ajax allowed, no humans allowed to, no dogs, no cats.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So we need to figure out how to enable iframes.
Exactly. Definitely no iframes.
Uh, Sasa, even a lot of developers doesn't like CSS. It's only a machine.
Yeah. So if anybody knows how to hack that, Kate, we're looking at you, and you're the security expert. Or Tony.
All right. I think I'm sharing my screen. Can everybody see my screen? No, I'm not sharing. Share.
There it goes.
Okay, so this individual reached out to me and we had a nice little chat yesterday. They just got a small amount of funding. They have an open source community. They basically have a product called SafeDep. they play in the open source supply chain world, and they do a lot around policies. Secdep. They don't have a front end. Everything they do is command line. They would love to have something that that could consolidate more of their information. So we may see them coming along in some of these calls, because they are being asked to have some, you know, a front end and some more integration. Steve, you took a look at it. Why don't you give us an idea of what it is? I know that they do some things that are similar to what we do, but not everything.
So what I can tell is it will, when they talk about scanning, they, if you, when they, let's take the scanning of an SBOM. So there's an SBOM out there. They'll scan the SBOM and you can apply filters or rules against the SBOM. So in the SBOM, you could say throw an error if there's a GNU license found versus a lesser GNU license or an MIT license. So if what I'm building contains any GNU licensing, throw an error. And what that does is allows you to, in your pipeline, do gatekeeping. So you can put policies in place to say, I'm going to prevent anything that is GNU based from going into the, as a package dependency, going through my pipeline. They have other things that they are able to check against. They integrate into like the OpenSSF scorecard, and you can block your pipeline if there's no maintainers, if the maintainers count is 0. So it's pretty flexible on being able to really control what's happening in the pipeline process. So it's basically what they talk about as policy as code. So that's the best way. Let me share my screen. I gotta, come on. So here's their policy as code. So they have a little policy language. It's kind of like JQ. So it says, if I find a critical or a high vulnerability that was found, go ahead and fail. If I find a certain license, if I look at another license format, if the scorecard is 0, that type of thing. So what it really is a nice way to, a very light way to add in policy into your pipeline without having to get into like an open policy agent or anything fancy like that. We have the data, so if you look up at the top, where is it? Like scanning an SBOM. We have the SBOM, so as part of that, we are able to pass across the SBOM to them on that front. You know, those type of things we have the scorecard, so we can go ahead and give them information about the scorecard, that type of thing. We have all the licenses. So there's a good overlap. I wouldn't say a good overlap, a good complementary fit for them with what we have on the Ortelius side. Now, I have not thought about how this would happen in the UI front, and those type of things. Right now, their filters, you can set this flag filter fail. What we may do is instead of failing it, we just have them report to us that these are these vulnerabilities that are high or critical. You have these licenses. So there may be a little bit of work on the front end, on our UI side, to go out and query this information, but not fail. So we can have another box at the component level, for example, that says, "Oh, we found you have high and critical vulnerabilities that would prevent this from going out to production." I have not seen if they do anything like on the Kubernetes front, because there are Kubernetes plugins that will allow you to prevent certain things from being entered into the being installed, basically. So I think it's Flux has it, and maybe Argo CD have it on their thing where they have some policy information, policy controls on that front. I think there's a couple other Kubernetes plugins that can help prevent things from getting out there that are bad.
So I have a quick question.
Yep.
And just scanning this very quickly, I don't see where they're looking. I see the code for how they're grabbing the high vulnerability, but I don't see that resource behind it. Even just looking at what I'm seeing on the screen, like where are they getting the high vulnerability from?
Yeah. So what they do is, so the Cyclone DX is going to be the SBOM now, or the SPDX version of it. I do not know when they say scan what they are looking at for the vulnerability database.
Yeah.
That we'd have to talk to them about to figure out what vulnerability databases that they're using. We use OSV Dev, which is a mixture of about 8-10 different vulnerability databases.
Yeah.
So that's where we grab our information from. They may be doing something similar.
All right. That'd be I think a big question for
Yeah.
me.
So what I'll do is I think Abhishek will. I just spoke with him yesterday. It didn't surprise me he wouldn't be able to make it today. Kind of short notice, but I think we'll see him in on the next call. And I think it's an interesting proposition for us to be able to. We've always talked about adding policies. We just never wanted to develop it.
Yeah.
So now we have an open source project that we could actually define some policies with, and at least report on if the policies have passed or failed, right? And
Right.
and why. Right now, they're just generating logs that show you that. So I think that it would be an interesting integration for Ortelius.
I do too. I mean, I mean, not that my opinion matters, but I mean, I do see complementary compliments, right, to what you guys do.
Yep.
And you don't have
So
to grab, you know.
I would say that if the team could take a look at, maybe take 30 minutes and dig into what they're doing with Secdep. I do have the link out here on the notes. And let's do a follow-up call. I'm guessing that we'll see Abhishek on the next Ortelius meeting. And can also reach out to him and see if there is a time that we could just take a deep dive on what they're doing,
Yeah,
and
no.
outside one of our regular calls. But I'll check with them to see if we can make that work, so we don't have to have another meeting.
And the interesting part is they have a path to allow for exceptions. So if you have a false positive, you can flag that false positive and as an exception and prevent things from failing, which is really good because you always need that out if you run across something as a false positive. So it's an interesting thing that they have the policy as code, but also they are able to handle exceptions at some level.
Yeah.
So where have you got their URL?
Let
It's
me.
it's
They don't, I don't think they have a website yet. They just have a GitHub repo.
Oh,
no, they do .io. Safe
Okay,
Dep.
safedep.io.
Yeah.
thank you.
Let's see.
And I know Arvin's post in the chat that today is National Croissant Day.
Yes.
Integration.
We all need our croissants.
Apparently.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I actually have some in the freezer.
Well, you're gonna have
Chocolate
to go thaw one out.
croissants. So
yeah.
who
Of
knew?
course.
How can you keep them in the, I don't know how they would stay in the freezer terribly long.
Yeah, they'd be gone within. I don't even, ours don't even make it to the freezer.
I'll be right over, Kate. See you just now.
Yeah, I think I have enough for the group actually. Sorry. I'll have to make one and eat it in front of you for the call.
There you go.
Oh, that's so cruel.
No, I would
It's
enjoy
amazing
watching
'cause
her
there are
eating it.
actually two good French bakeries in Albuquerque.
There
Like,
are. We
here
have a
we are
couple
with
in,
a,
we have a
sorry?
couple in Santa Fe too. We have Claire
Oh.
Foodies in Santa Fe, which is amazing.
You know, Santa Fe doesn't surprise me, but you don't think of that in Albuquerque, but there are.
So I dropped the link, safedep.io, to their website. And like we said, we just had the meeting. Tracy just found out about them yesterday, so it's going to be the research side before we do the development.
Oh
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, nice find, Tracy.
He reached out to me, so
Yeah.
he found
And
me.
All things lead to Tracy, it sounds.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
Love it.
And to jump back to Sasha real quick, I think that the security stuff that you found is exactly what we need to figure out for the Jenkins side. So basically, we want to be able to run an iframe inside.
Yeah.
So that'll be the easiest path if we can do an iframe.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get further. I was troubleshooting and trying all kinds of things, and then work sucked me away.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. But I think it's a great idea still, and I think it'll work. I mean, the URL runs, right? Runs perfectly.
Yeah. And it looks like
I can share my screen and show you. It says weather reports under my configuration.
yeah, it looks like there is a frame source policy that we would allow Ortelius website basically as an iframe.
Oh, cool. Oh, maybe that's like a type of whitelist then, right?
Yeah, I think you just whitelist it.
Okay. Like a firewall almost.
Yeah, and that may be if we could get this to work, it'll be a pretty simple install. You know, you install that HTML plugin, and then you just configure the policy to get over to the Ortelius website, and we should be good to go. So
Exactly.
I just don't know how to use this. I see how the policy is set up. I just don't know where in Jenkins you set it up.
I can give you a little bit of light. You can do it as configuration as code, Jenkins configuration as code. There's some overrides you can do there, and then there was also some suggestions around. Well, I'm looking at the Helm chart, right? At the moment, and there was also some Java ops switches you can do, flags you can put in. Yeah.
It looks like you do something with a set system property. Oh, I see. So when you start up these look like the system set property is a Java thing. So I think that is where we just go.
Because when I was messing around, it created a config map, right? That can override using Jenkins configuration as code in the Helm chart. It creates a config map to override the default, so that you can can do those sort of things.
Oh, here, interesting. Let me copy this link. So this link looks like I'm on the wrong computer. On basically how to enable iframes for JavaDoc, which is going to be something
cool.
very similar to, instead of us frame source would be to the Ortelius website, basically.
Very cool.
And it talks about the HTML publisher as well, right underneath that link I sent you, the JavaDoc one. So the HTML publisher plugin is something that,
Yeah, there's that plugin that we could also maybe use, which might be easier.
yeah, well, that's the one you have installed.
Oh, is that the one? Okay.
Yeah.
I found another thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it says if the published HTML files require JavaScript or any other dynamic features provided by the content security policy, you gotta change the content security policy header accordingly.
Yes, that was it. And then,
So we just need to figure out how to make that that HTML publisher have access to JavaScript. That would be the easiest.
Yep, makes sense.
Because that's the way that that little weather HTML page I sent you is just just using JavaScript.
Exactly, and it's trying to load it, but you can see in the logs of the browser and the dev logs, right? And dev tools, you can see it's like it's blocked.
Yeah.
Gets denied. So yeah, it's a great idea. It'll totally work.
Yeah. So we'll just need to figure out where we set that, and we should be good to go.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else?
All right, while we were doing that, I went ahead and sent an email to Mark. And I CC'd Sasha and Arvin. Anybody else want to be on that thread?
Yeah. Oh, what's is that? Is that for the vet? The vet thing?
Yeah.
The vet
That's,
policies.
no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
for the, you're on the one. This is for the Ortelius plugin for Jenkins.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah,
sent
yeah.
it,
I definitely
I
want to be
sent
on
it
that.
to you, Sasha, Arvin, and Steve.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
And
Yeah,
I reached
'cause
out to, and I also reached out to Abhishek and asked him if he wanted, if we could grab him in the next 2 weeks for a 30-minute deep dive so that we can
Oh,
answer
cool.
questions like Kate had.
Yeah, because my goal is to then update the Jenkins pipeline I have here on the blog to show people how to use this plugin, that reporting plugin, in a Jenkins pipeline and Ortelius at the same time, right? With an application.
Yep.
So it builds the application and then deploys it and records all the relevant information. And we could squeeze in vet there too, which would also be nice, right?
Yeah. Looks like we
Cool.
lost Eddie. I was going to ask him if there was anything that we should be doing with Circle CI. What do they call them? They don't call them plugins.
I think they're orbs. I don't remember now.
Yeah, something like that for displaying the real-time vulnerability information based on a workflow.
Yeah.
I'll send him an email as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe DeepSeek will have your answer, Sasha, on how to.
Steve, are you running DeepSeek?
No, I still
Oh,
use ChatGPT.
you can
Okay.
run it for free in VS Code.
registered. I have trouble actually even get registered. They need to send you email a code, but I never receive it. That's why I can never get registered properly.
They're just stealing
That's
your contact
annoying.
information, and that's it.
Oh no.
Exactly.
I saw OpenAI fired a solver saying, oh, they're accusing them of what? Exposing them for something. I
Yeah,
saw that
it's
What was it?
it's called distilling. They distill the OpenAI model, and they use that to bootstrap the DeepSeek model.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Steve, I posted instruction in the chat if you want to run it locally
Did
for
anyone
free in
try
VS
though?
Code.
I saw I think Hugging Face, they are trying to reproduce it. So I'm wondering, anyone around the world has successfully reproduced it, and they just using 5 million can train up their model, and you can use
That's
your
funny.
laptops to train it at the side of desktop.
Well, we are told that's what happened. We'll see if what the
Yeah,
truth really
exactly.
is.
So I'm keen to see anyone can literally reproduce it.
It's
Like
kind of
the
like
AI
you have to,
Yeah.
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 If you look out on GitHub and you look at stars, you think that those
Yeah.
stars are real, but apparently they're not. We worked really hard for all of our stars, but you can buy stars. So if you see a GitHub repo that has a ton of stars and they have one
Yeah.
developer, you might realize that they bought a bunch of stars. So you know what?
Yeah.
I'm reading this fascinating book called Sapiens. I highly recommend it. And
Oh,
it
yeah,
says that
sure.
our brains are wired for two things. This is kind of creepy. Two things. Try to guess what those
Yeah.
two things might be.
Shortcuts.
Nope. You would think it'd be like eating and sex,
I was
right?
gonna
But it's
say,
not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are my two things. Yeah. So
It's
I'm out of guessing.
gossip and fiction.
Gossip.
Really?
No
Gossip
way.
and
I'm
fiction.
afraid.
Yes.
So
Oh
making
my
up stories.
This is how our brain has been wired for the
Oh,
last like 40,000 years. And
that's
they,
awful.
people,
Yeah, so we
it
just
is,
make
but
up stories.
it doesn't explain so much.
It does, actually.
For me, it explains so much. It explains the Holocaust.
I'm going to
Yeah.
use that in a client meeting next time.
And where
You-
we are now, even, why we
Where we
end
are
up where
now.
we are.
How does it
Gossip
explain
and
the
fiction.
Holocaust? Gossip.
Gossip about people and then fictional stories about people, right?
That's
Yeah, that makes sense,
fascinating.
Tracy, because it creates false things. Oh yeah, and then it starts to get out of hand, like broken telephone, right?
And
Yep.
it says that once you buy into, our brain is so wired that once you buy into that gossip
Oh my
and
goodness.
fiction, it's really hard for your brain to separate from it.
It explains
Oh,
our
my word.
actions.
It explains so much. When I read that, I had to read it over like 4 times. It was like, wait a second, really? Gossip and
Right.
fiction?
The elections in the United
mean-
States is blowing my mind. Like, how did this happen?
It's called
Don't worry.
Sapiens. I'm gonna
We
find
had
it on.
we had it too. Don't worry, we had it too.
It is-
Sasha, I dropped the link of what ChatGPT said how to fix it in Discord in the dev channel.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
I had to get back to another meeting, but
Okay.
it should give you an idea of what to look for setting the parameters for Jenkins.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Steve.
All right, anything else?
No, before we leave, we're going to all learn about Sapiens. Where's my chat? Jesus.
Tracy, we have to do a
We all gonna
fiction
have a
book
good
reading
read
club.
about it, Tracy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we have to start a fiction book reading club now.
There you go.
Weird. All of my
We need an
chat
AI.
is taken over by a bot.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
And to everyone, here we go. Oh, there was my link. Okay. So the second one is the YouTube on the book Sapiens. He's also written a follow-up book called 21 Tips for the 21st Century, which I got to start.
All right, so we got
Okay.
software development and book reading club going on
Yes.
simultaneously.
That's the way to
Gossip and
go.
fiction. We can do anything with gossip and fiction. Okay, bye
Wow.
guys.
All right, thanks everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
but
Pleasure.